This one's about little Susie, a spunky grade schooler, who was hauling her tiny legs towards her classroom. Why the rush, you ask? Well, she had to stop her best pal from taking a bite of that darn evil cake. Now, when Susie finally made it, pretty Pamela had already gobbled up a piece of that wicked treat. Next thing you know, Pamela's face turned beet red and started swelling up like a dang balloon. Her classmates couldn't believe their eyes, staring at her in shock and awe. Pamela was morphing into something else entirely, and Susie wished she'd gotten there sooner to stop the whole dang mess. This one's about little Susie and her neighbor, pretty Pamela, a cancer patient given just 1 month to live. Pamela used to stay with her grandma but had to move back in with her mama when her illness took a turn. Pamela's folks were divorced after her mom caught her lousy father cheating. That no-good snake stopped caring about his sick little girl or the rest of his family as soon as the truth came out, just up and abandoned them like trash. Pamela spent her nights writing up a bucket list of things she dreamed of doing before she went to that big playground in the sky. You see, one of the wishes on little Pamela's bucket list, before her time came to an end, was to go to a fancy private school, the kind with big, beautiful buildings and manicured grounds. The poor dear hadn't been able to attend regular school for quite some time due to her illness. Pamela's mother knew money was extremely tight after her husband had walked out on them. But a mother's love knows no bounds, does it? So one bright morning, she put on a brave smile and went next door to speak with Susie's family. When Susie's mom answered, Pamela's mother politely introduced herself with a cheerful, "Good morning." She then inquired about the tuition fees at the prestigious school Susie attended. Susie's mother let out a heartless laugh right in Pamela's mom's face. She mockingly declared that they could never afford to send Pamela to such an elite school. But Pamela's mother stayed strong, swallowing her hurt as Susie and her discourteous mother laughed openly at their shame. They sauntered off to their extravagant school, hand in hand, without an ounce of sympathy, leaving that grieving mother alone with her humiliation. Despite the hurtful reaction from the neighbors, Pamela's loving mother did not give up on finding her daughter the perfect school. When she excitedly told Pamela's grandmother about her little one's bucket list wish, Grandma suggested reaching out to Pamela's father since he had money to help pay the fees. However, Pamela's mother politely refused. She stated she would take out loans and work tirelessly day and night before ever asking that unfaithful man for anything after he abandoned his sick child. With unwavering determination, Pamela's mother eventually enrolled her daughter at the prestigious Graceland International School. On that special day, little Pamela blossomed. Her sweet face and brilliant mind allowed her to make many new friends quickly. The teachers also adored Pamela for her intelligence and delightful spirit. Interestingly, Pamela's neighbor Susie attended the very same school and was in her class. However, Susie did not share in Pamela's joyous welcome. Susie grew to resent Pamela deeply, as all the attention and admiration shifted away from Susie and towards the new, vibrant student. One dreadful night, Pamela's illness took a turn for the worse. The darling girl could hardly breathe, struggling terribly as her desperate mother looked on in fear. In that frantic moment of need, Pamela's mother begged their next-door neighbors, Susie's family, to let them use a vehicle to rush Pamela to the hospital. But that spiteful mother cruelly refused, shockingly telling the grieving woman to let her good-for-nothing child perish. Thankfully, across the street lived a kind-hearted young boy named Ralph, only 12 years old yet wise beyond his years as a senior prefect at Graceland International. He overheard the commotion and immediately implored his mother to drive Pamela to the hospital herself. It was then that Ralph learned his cherished classmate was battling terminal cancer with just days left of precious life. At that moment, Ralph made a selfless vow to make Pamela's final days as magical and memorable as humanly possible. One of the dearest wishes on Pamela's bucket list was to spend quality time with both her mother and father together. When Pamela's mother gently explained this to her ex-husband Christopher, she said, "This means she wants us back together, at least for a little while. I beg you, let's do this for her." Despite their painful separation, Christopher ultimately agreed for the sake of their beloved daughter. At school, Susie unfortunately continued bullying Pamela out of jealousy. Susie noticed all the lovely gifts like fancy iPads and bags that Pamela received, as well as how cherished Pamela was by their classmates. The envy consumed Susie so much that she begged her mother to transfer her to a different school. However, Susie's mother was incredibly dismissive of her daughter's pleas. She sternly stated, "No, you will stay at that school and fight for what you believe is yours. Besides, your mother is wealthy enough to get you whatever belongings you want." This response lays bare the toxic focus on materialism in their household. Unfortunately, Susie's jealousy took an even darker turn when she noticed her crush, the kind-hearted Ralph, showing care and attention towards Pamela. In Susie's mind, she cruelly labeled Pamela an attention seeker. Blinded by envy, Susie could not see the beautiful compassion motivating Ralph's actions towards the terminally ill Pamela. This toxic jealousy led Susie to gang up with some larger, intimidating girls with the intention of teaching Pamela a harsh lesson. As these bullies cornered the frail, innocent Pamela, mercilessly punching her delicate face, until finally, her guardian angel Ralph courageously arrived, putting a stop to the senseless, brutal beating before it went too far. Susie and some other mean kids got kicked out of school because they were causing trouble. Susie's mom wanted to pay the principal to let Susie come back, but he said no because Susie had already caused a lot of problems. One day, Susie's mom saw and heard Pamela's mom getting ready for Pamela's birthday party at school with her friends. That night, Susie's mom sneaked into their house and swapped Pamela's birthday cake with a poisonous one. The next day at school, everyone was happy and singing for Pamela's birthday. But when Pamela cut the cake, something bad happened. A spunky grade schooler who was hauling her tiny legs towards her classroom. Well, she had to stop her best pal from taking a bite of that darn evil cake. Now, when Susie finally made it, her friend Pretty Pamela had already gobbled up a piece of that wicked treat. Next thing you know, Pamela's face turned beet red and started swelling up like a dang balloon. Her classmates couldn't believe their eyes, staring at her in shock and awe. Pamela was morphing into something else entirely, and Susie wished she'd gotten there sooner to stop the whole
As Pamela's
parents rushed their lifeless daughter to the hospital, Ralph looked at Susie with anger and disbelief in his eyes. He couldn't understand how someone could be so cruel. Before they reached the hospital, Pamela couldn't survive, and her parents were left to weep for their loss. Susie's mom was eventually arrested for her actions, facing the consequences of her jealousy-driven crime. Pamela, tragically, could not complete her bucket list, one of her dreams being to name a star as her life was cut short due to jealousy and malicious intent.